Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another morning forecast. These are the four pairs that I've got on watch for today: Aussie CAD, Euro dollar, US oil, and pound yen. Pound yen needs a bit of time because I'm playing a kind of higher time frame structure, but because I'm looking for the insurance entry, it needs some time to fully get to the area and then actually start to show signs of turning around. So this is kind of more softer watch, but I just want to monitor it through today to see what it gives us. But a really nice mix of pairs. We could get some good opportunities today, tomorrow, towards the end of this week, which, as you know, what I've explained before, you can't switch off at all during the week. You just can't afford to, because if you start the week off thinking that the market's slow and there's not many opportunities, that is exactly the time when you'll miss a trade. So you have to stay dialed in all week, no matter what the day. The DXY, we did get this slight little gap through Asian session, but we are potentially tapping into this V shape that I've been talking about. We was looking at this lower one, but price pushed gapped through that and has tapped into a higher V shape. So if we do start to get some follow through here, it just means that this was the area that price was trying to reach up to, and we could potentially be getting a sell-off from this point, which is why I am looking at Euro dollar long, but I do want some deliberate price action on that to make sure that this is not just a pullback to kind of retest to head up to these tighs. So I'll run through that on Euro dollar. But in terms of Aussie CAD, so I have had this on watch all week, but it's needed the price action to be pulled apart a little bit because this is quite a corrective leg. The lows have been met, but you can see how the nature has changed from this into this. So there could be potential that we actually can play a drop out here into this sort of area, and then the buys continue, and this is more of a larger 1, 2, 3 move. And on the lower time frames, you can see how price is respecting structure. So we've just ever so slightly near missed this point where the momentum stepped in before, but you can see how we got high V shape, sold off. We got a pullback, that sold off, left a V shape, climbed up, pushed down again. And the most important thing here is that from all of these kind of V shape moves, we've now gone into a flat structure. And this is the key point, that when you go from this sort of price action into a flat structure, these can really commit. So I love that about this leg, and we've got a clear target to aim for in this short range. So what I'm looking for here, you can see it clearer on the 1 hour how flat this structure is now compared to these sort of V shapes. I want to see price come into this area, and we either get 2 1 hour rejections, so something like two high tests, or if we don't get the 2 high tests, then I'll be looking for a 4 hour entry, because you can start to see the structure on the 4 hour. So if we don't get the 2 1 hour rejections, then I'll just sit tight, wait to see if we get some kind of 4 hour rejection, and then we can play this down to this first inflection point, or this where kind of all this volume was built before. So either 2 1 hour rejections or 4 hour, really simple. And this may look corrective at first, but as I explained, with these V shapes into a flat, these can really drop out, like this sort of leg here, where we can fill down to this move, and it can be you can look back and see it as a really simple trade, but in the moment you miss the detail because of how corrective this leg is. So they're my 2 options for Aussie CAD. So Euro dollar, going back to what I was saying on the DXY, that if the DXY is committing to the sell from that kind of V-shaped play, then obviously this will be going long. Price has tapped into a low, and as we can see already on the daily, it started to pull back. The 4 hour, it's full price. So we've got like just over an hour and a half until this 4-hour close. So if we get a strong 4-hour candle here that closes strong, then I will be interested in looking at some lower time frame confirmation for the longs. It could be something similar like this, where we get a bit more of a follow through and the 4-hour close is strong, and then we get a tight 1-hour structure that we can filter to the 15 and look for the buys, and that would then tie in nicely with the DXY playing the sells from that V shape. So we do need to monitor the 4-hour on this, because this can just be a bit of a pullback to kind of retest this area, and then it just sells off again, and the DXY goes long from the highs that it's at. So we do want to see a strong 4-hour and then a tight 1-hour continuation, filter to the 15, and then look to get long on euro dollar. So I'll be monitoring this between this and the DXY, but ideally we get a strong 4-hour here, we get a strong close, even if it pushes a bit more, and we get that good close with, we don't want a big wick left behind. We get a full body close, then we can drop to the lower time frames and start to see what that is giving us. So I do like this, but we have to be careful, because the DXY can just very quickly turn around and start heading long, and we don't want to get caught into anything too early, or not having the high time frame confirmation on our side, like the 4-hour, where we start taking lower time frame flags that are just not developed enough, and then it's just a quick tag in, tag out, and then it starts dropping down to these lows. So just bear that in mind. 4-hour here is the most important. We want that strong 4-hour close. Now, oil, again, this was similar to Aussie CAD, where I've had this on watch all week, and it's not looked the best, but now we've started to get some momentum coming. We've met the lows, and we kind of scoot round to this double bottom and pushed off. And it was at this point where things were looking a little bit messy. You can see the idea of the push, correction, continuation, but trying to get positioned in here was not ideal. But you can now see the higher time frame starting to come in on the daily, and the 4-hour also. We've kind of got this larger structure where the base has been found, and we've now got this clear push off. What I like about this, if I drop to the 1-hour, is that we had this structure. So the high was met here, we had the impulse, and then we had this structure with this kind of internal 1, 2, 3 with a middle section. This should have sold off, because this structure here is enough of a continuation for price to sell off. We saw that it started to, and now it's been smashed through. So I'm seeing this structure as a failure to sell off. So we can now take advantage of the buys back into these highs as a minimum. So what I want to see here is price develop some kind of 1-hour bullish flag, 1-hour structure, and then we filter to the 15 and actually get long on this now with the failure of this. So this is a simple play, because this just needs to develop on the 1-hour, and we'll get a very clear answer as to whether something like this is going to shape up or not. Because if it just drops back in, then we leave it alone. If it keeps going and starts getting messy, then again we just take a step back. So all I'm literally looking for is for the base to be found, something like this on the 1-hour, filtered to the 15, and then manage into these sort of areas with this wick, but with the main target being that high where the momentum stepped in a lot more sharply. So a simple 1-hour continuation here, and then look to get long on the third touch. And then pound yen. So this is the one that may need a little bit more time, but playing this higher time frame expanding that we've seen over the last few weeks. We've got the 3 touches, we've got the 2 bases. What I like now is that we started to commit, and we're now scooping up for this kind of V-shaped scoop that these can sell off quite aggressively. On the 4-hour, you can see that we've kind of had this sort of running channel structure that could have dropped out and it didn't, and we've pushed up, and we're now tapping into this sort of double top area. But all of this is volume, so this is kind of like a bit of a M style where we're kind of getting that. So this does need some time, but we've got a clear area to work with, because the next areas are all the way up here, and if price breaks out, then obviously this sell is off. So it's kind of like a clear line in the sand for me, which I like. I like it when that happens with pairs, because you either get your answer or you don't. So all I'm looking for here is for this high to be met, or maybe a washout above, and then we get a push in, and then we can look for the lower time frame confirmation to then actually get short. And we're playing this overall daily structure of this expanding, the scoop, and then the sell-off. And obviously here you can see we've got a huge range to play with. Whether we get that full commitment, we most likely won't just get it in a straight line, but even playing it to this first inflection point from here to here, if we can get positioned well at the top, is a really nice big range to play. So I do like pound yen, but because we're playing the high time frame structure, it needs some time. You know, it's not common when you're looking at a daily and a 4 hour structure that price just taps the ray line and just goes. So ideally we get a bit of a washout above, break back in, lower time frame confirmation, and then manage the inflection point, and then we got these points along the way. But overall this range is huge for risk to reward, so we've got a lot to play with this, but it's the bottom of the list because it does need time, but it is positioned really well. So again, just a quick recap. Oil, we're just looking for this 1 hour free touch filter to the 15 to look for the buyers. Euro dollar, we do need that strong 4 hour close. We've got an hour and a half. So if we get a close like this or a bit more, that'll be really nice. We can start to filter to the 1 hour to see what the 1 hour starts to build, to look for the buys. And then Aussie CAD will be either a 4 hour risk entry on this flat structure, or we'll see what 1 hour rejections we get at the ray line to see if we're getting multiple rejections and prices failing to break out. Then we can get positioned really well and protect our stops above and play this flat structure into this next low. So yeah, some really nice pairs on watch for today, and we're going into the end of the week, which is where people can start to switch off, as I mentioned, because maybe they're not taking a trade all week and they start to lose a bit of sharpness, and it's Thursday, Friday when actually trades can go. So a real nice mix of pairs going into today, and we'll see what they give us. So I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'll see you in the morning.